Welcome to my demo. We have probably already discussed it, but I'm going to talk about the purpose of our application. So basically, our application is to provide a guide for new entrepreneurs to help them launch a business. So, you want to start a business, you don't know what you need to do, so maybe you would, join our application and then we would guide you through. So the code I'm going to be demoing is basically around the entrepreneur. We have some other features that other group members will talk about. So basically, as an entrepreneur, we have a bunch of pages, and basically there's so much that goes into starting a new business. This is more of a proof of concept, basically, because we obviously couldn't code everything that you would have to do in order to actually launch a business. But we do have like the basic functionality, and there's so basically this is the menu. There's not much on the page, obviously. This is the menu, and then these are like the individual stuff. So the one thing I want to focus on is going to be this cash flow page, which I'll get to shortly. So welcome to WeLaunch. On the left of the page are a list of items relevant to starting your business. Each page will provide information on steps to be taken and factors to be considered for each decision you'll make. So there's not much going on with these pages. Okay, incorporation in Canada. Official step-by-step process by the federal government can be found here. Nothing too crazy. And then just some options and some information to help users make a good decision. But the main part that I'm going to be focusing on of the code here is going to be this. So obviously there's a lot we could implement for starting a business, but this is one thing we decided to do. We thought that this is very, very important because the cash flow of the business determines whether or not your business will be successful. So I'm going to just demo this really quickly. So for example, these are going to be entries. The reason I'm doing the demo before I'm showing the visual paradigm is because I'm going to be using the word entry a lot, and I want to show here what that is. So an entry is basically a line. It's an object that has a title, expense or income, enum, and then an amount. So keep that in mind for later. So basically, product supply. This is an example of an expense. Let's say you want to sell bikes. You have to buy bikes. So maybe monthly, it costs you $500, but then hey, maybe you sell it. Maybe you sell it as an income for, let's say, profit margin 25%. What is that, 625? And then you can add it. And now you'll see you have another item here. It's an income, 625, and now your net is 125. But maybe you have rent, and that's an expense, and maybe it's $1,000 a month. Okay, but maybe you also have some investors in your business. That's an income. Maybe it's 2,000. We're in the green again. So basically, these are all estimations, by the way. We just this is meant for users who haven't yet launched their business but are trying to, and they're doing the research and they're saying, okay, this is how much it's going to cost to make my product. This is what I'm going to sell it for. This is how many sales we expect to make. Stuff like that. So these are all estimations. And then if this number's red, then it might not be a solid business idea. You might have to look into it. But yeah, that's about it for my code demo. And now I guess I'll switch over to the visual paradigm. Okay, so this is the use case I was going to tackle with my diagrams. So basically you can see we have an actor, it's an entrepreneur, it's one of the users of our system. And the main functionality we're looking for is to help users estimate the cash flow, which I showed in the code earlier. So basically the entrepreneur needs to be able to add an entry, they need to view the total, they need to be able to edit entries, and now we'll look at the collaboration diagram. So we'll start with the class diagram. Basically what these two classes are basically about the layouts. They're not really about the actual code. So we have a folder called components, and we have a bunch of common layouts that are used by the other pages. And then for the entrepreneur specific stuff, as you'll see, this is the entrepreneur package, we have a main menu, and I'll actually show that the main menu is basically this list of buttons, plus I think the header is actually part of the layout. And then this is the part that changes with these buttons here. So, okay, the cash flow. So basically the cash flow page, it has a list of entries, which is going to be these things here, or these lines. This is a total. It's always going to be there at the bottom. It's not actually part of the entries. We have a total, which you just saw, and then we have just getters and setters for each. And of course, we have calculate total at the end to make sure we're adding stuff correctly. Then we have, it connects to the entry the entry object, because entries in the cash flow is actually just a list of this object. And as mentioned already, this list has this object has a title, a type, an amount, the getters and setters for each, and of course the entry type is an enum. It's going to be either income or expense. And that's about it. Let's go to the sequence diagram. Nothing too crazy. You go to the site, you can either log in or not. Once you get in, you can navigate to the cash flow page. Once you're on the cash flow page, you can set an entry. You can, once you've set the entry object, you can add the entry to the entry list, which is an attribute of the cash flow page. And then if the entry is valid, you go back to the cash flow page and you'll update the total. If the entry is invalid, you'll just go back to creating an entry. So I'll actually show that here. If you create an entry, let's say I go like this and I go like this and I add item. Nope, I haven't checked one of these boxes, so it's not going to let me. So I can do that and then I'll add it and I'll show here. Also, if I just leave this blank, it won't let that. So that's what I mean by entry is invalid. You'll go back to have to redo that entry. Okay, and finally it's wrong. Finally, the communication diagram. So it's pretty straightforward. You're an actor. You're a user of the system. You can visit the cash flow page. Once you're there, you can enter in the form, which will edit this entry object, invalid input. You have to edit it again. It's not going to work. Once it's done, you add entry, pass in this object as a parameter, and it gets added to the attribute entries list of cash flow page. Once that's done, it'll update the display and the new net total will show. And that is about it.